Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with episode 15 of Oldhead versus Newcomer. Got a great one in store. What's going on, gentlemen?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Let's get into this. We actually saw a great game where the 49ers destroyed the Eagles. Now, Philly has to go on the road against a red hot Dallas team with their quarterback, Dak Prescott, in the thick of the MVP conversation. Oldhead, can the Cowboys knock off the Eagles on Sunday?
Dallas might win this weekend. Dallas will get beat in the playoffs early, whether it's the Eagles or whoever. So, regardless of what happens this weekend, I think Jalen Hurts is going to come back strong because he had a little bit of a meltdown against Purdy, and then Dak is on his typical regular season hot streak, smelling himself. But this is a 50-50 game this weekend. However, Dak melts down in the playoffs, and neither one of those teams make it all the way because of Detroit Rock City.
Newcomer.
Well, if you've been, have you been paying attention to the Pistons losing streak? Because wow, that's been fun to watch. But
Have you listened to this song yet?
Hey, but we'll give him credit, Newcomer. If ladies and gentlemen back home, if you look at who the old head picked as his Heisman winner, he picked that boy up in Baton Rouge, Jaden Daniels, and he is the heavy favorite to win the award. So, old head, props to you. But go ahead, Newcomer.
okay, I think the Eagles have had a really rough stretch the last 4 weeks. They've had four back-to-back tough opponents: Bills, Chiefs, Cowboys before them, Cowboys, Bills, Chiefs, Niners. They lost control of that Niners game completely, but Jalen Hurts has looked spectacular all year. Coming off a loss, absolutely not. They're not losing this game. I think the Eagles are going to win this game. They're going to come out with a lot of fire. I like them to sweep the Cowboys this year. In terms of what you mentioned, the MVP race about Dak Prescott being in the heat of the MVP race, I absolutely do not think Dak Prescott should win MVP this year. Matter of fact, I don't think any quarterback in the NFL has separated themselves enough this year, as quarterbacks usually do, for any quarterback to win MVP. I remember me and the old head both picked Christian McCaffrey to win MVP earlier this year.
Mighty Mouse.
Mighty Mouse. And I think going into these last few weeks, the MVP race, unless there's a quarterback that absolutely separates themselves from the rest of the NFL, has a spectacular last 5 weeks. Besides this, the NFL MVP race right now is between Christian McCaffrey and Tyreek Hill. And which one of those two is going to be able to stand out more in the last few weeks to win MVP? I absolutely think both of them have a very deserving case to win MVP.
Thank you for that, Newcomer. When you look at the Dallas Cowboys right now, they are playing at a very high level. I know I always talk about their cycle, how they lose in the regular season to a good team, and then they, beat teams that they're supposed to beat. I think this is the week they get it done. I think they already lost to Philadelphia earlier in the season. Philadelphia is coming off a very tough loss to the Niners. They're going to go on the road now against this Cowboys team that has been red hot. Philly's secondary has really struggled the last few weeks. It hasn't been great this season. Dak Prescott in this offense, I think they've been the best in the NFL over the past few weeks. Dak Prescott's playing at an MVP caliber level. CeeDee Lamb, he's unguardable at this point. I need to see what their defense can do. Nick Bosa, 49ers edge, said, he laid down a game plan for the Cowboys and what they can do. So hopefully the Cowboys are looking at that. Hopefully they can slow down Hurts enough. They've struggled a little bit the past few weeks. They haven't been this elite unit, that we saw in the first half of the season. But I think if we can get this Cowboys defense to give a little more, and, Dak Prescott playing at an MVP level, we've never seen him play this well. I think the Cowboys are scary. They're heating up. If they win this game, they are absolutely still Super Bowl contenders. I think they can make a very deep playoff run, and I don't think they can beat the 49ers, but I do think we can see them, make it to that NFC championship game. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. The Dallas Cowboys will beat the Philadelphia Eagles this weekend. We'll go A few weeks ago on a show, actually, we discussed whether it was time to panic on Jordan Love and the Packers. He's lit it up the past few weeks and now has the Packers right back in the playoff discussion. Newcomer, can this Green Bay squad be a dark horse contender in the NFC?
I think Jordan Love's playing really great. He's shown them that he's worth the long-term investment that they made. If you guys remember that heavily scrutinized draft pick back when they still had Rodgers, but it's turned out to be a great pick. In terms of the playoffs, no, they're not contenders. I think in the wild card, the first round, they're gonna have to face a really, really good team. If they face the Niners, no, absolutely, it's over. The Niners will absolutely blow them up and nuke them to the ground. I remember they lost. They didn't make the playoffs last year, but when they made the playoffs 2 years ago, I think they lost. They lost 13-10 to the Niners. And then the year before they lost the Buccaneers, and then the year before that they lost the Niners again. This, Kyle Shanahan, I really, really, if I'm a Packers fan, I'm really, really hoping I don't have to face the Niners. Even if they don't face the Niners, they're probably gonna have to face the Cowboys or the Eagles, or even Rock City. No, they can't beat. Maybe they could beat Rock City, but no, they can't beat one of those top three NFC teams.
Now listen, we are on a regulated radio station here, and that type of violence, blow them up and nuke them to the ground. I know I brought up DeSantis, but you're showing your inner Trump right now. For a minute there, I thought you were gonna be like, "Where's Little Rocket Man to help with that?" Um, you know, wow, I got to get my head right after just hearing all that. I got me spun around. So, Green Bay Packers, Mighty Mouse, Jaden Daniels, and Detroit Rock City. They're all got one thing in common. Those were answers to questions that you hopefully have still on file. Because we were asked a few weeks back who we felt was the team under 500 that had the greatest chance of making the playoffs. NFC, Green Bay. Now, I'll repeat what I said then, which is I know 0 players on that team. They're basically the Oakland A's of the NFL. I mean, I'd like to ask you guys or ask any listener out there that's listening, even Jordan Love, half those cats probably don't even know his first name. Jordan Love, like what? Like their head coach, we know him. Their kicker that got fired, Crosby, he's out the Rams. Beyond that, if you look at their lineup, which I really never have, but it's like a bunch of no-name scrappers. It's like the Bad News Bears meets Green Bay, and now they're playing great. And Aaron Rodgers used to be there, and he has a funky mustache. It's like, what's going on? I mean, this stuff's crazy. So at the end of the day, I still think it's Green Bay because why not? Their fans go to games and wear cheese on their head. Their colors are the same as the Oakland A's, and they got a bunch of players that we never heard of. I think they got one dude whose name's like Quay. So at the end of the day, they got Quay. Let's go Green Bay.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh. Oldhead knocked that one out the park there. Oh, yeah. Well, I do actually think that Green Bay, could potentially make some noise. I think if the 49ers have the number 2 seed and Green Bay is in that 7th seed, I don't think they obviously have a chance. But I think if Green Bay, can put themselves in that 6th seed, I do think they have a chance against the Lions just because they're divisional opponents. Jordan Love has been playing at a phenomenal level. I mean, if you're a Green Bay Packers fan, you've got to be very excited about this dude. Over his last 3 games, 850 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, no picks. This is one of the youngest offensive units in the entire league. Jordan Love this is his first ever year starting. You look at the receiving core: Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs. You have some very young guys on that receiving core, their tight end, Luke Musgrave, a rookie this year. I mean, I think they can continue to develop, get better as a squad. And I do actually think that Green Bay, if Jordan Love can continue to play at a high level, they could definitely win a playoff game this year. They're underrated. Their defense has been there. And I do like the way LaFleur's calling this offense for Jordan Love. In the NBA, Adam Silver at the beginning of the year launched the in-season tournament as a way to make the NBA regular season more competitive. Oldhead, what are your thoughts on the NBA in-season tournament?
Well, just like the Green Bay lineup, I don't know much about it. Um, However, I think it's great. And the reason why is back to the things from last week about these cats making a lot of money and not really having that competition. I think that'll help breed a little bit of extra incentive early in the year. It'll draw viewers. And what's wild about it is I saw some highlights. It's amazing what a little bit of colorful paint on the court will do to people psychologically. Wow, what's this? And then along with that, it's that old school adage of like, oh, I don't golf, but you always see these crusty old dudes out there that are probably worth 50 million each betting $1 on who can make a putt, and then they get competitive. So I mean, when you now start putting $500,000 out there per player, you got some guys on the bench that need that money, a bunch of the starters that don't need that money, but you've got a situation where you literally can, fire up these cats to compete. And then they got this whole scoring differential and all this craziness. Again, I don't know much about it, but I do know it's gotten people a little bit interested and pretty hyped up. So I like it.
You know, I agree with the old head. I do think that this has been, at first I do admit I was pretty skeptical of this, but I do admit that this has been executed pretty well. I'll give props to Adam Silver for that. And you can see really what the old head was talking about how these bench players are really motivated by this $500,000. This has created a really competitive atmosphere. I was watching the Celtics Pacers game. As a Celtics fan, not a fun game to watch, but as an NBA fan, seeing those Pacers bench players jumping for joy like they just won the lottery. I mean, they still hadn't won it at that point, but it's pretty exciting to see. I think the competition level has been good. Is the in-season tournament realistic of a playoff scenario? No. A one-game single elimination is not that realistic. But and there's a couple of teams that I kind of wish to see in it a little bit more. But overall, the tournament's pretty fair. It remains to be seen how much will the media and how much will players value this tournament? How much will they value a tournament win? I think that remains to be seen. But we'll see how it goes. Overall, so far, I am really positive about it. I really like it, and I'm excited to watch it going forward.
When you look at this NBA in-season tournament, I agree with you guys. I think it's been great. Like the Newcomer, I didn't know what to expect of it at first. You see a lot of European leagues, implement some sort of NBA in-season tournament. And I think that a lot of people were like, should the NBA cut down its regular season? It's way too long. Maybe make it 60 games, because it's like the first 20 games, up until the All-Star break, not many people are watching because guys are, they're trying to win ball games, but they're not giving it their all because they want to pace themselves into the playoffs and then obviously into the finals. So I think, adding this incentive and adding, all the different ways that can make it interesting, like the money, the point differential, the way the playoffs work, having the guys go to Vegas. I do think that was an absolutely great idea by Adam Silver. I think we've seen so many different games that are, super, similar to playoff atmospheres. I mean, you look at that Kings Warriors game where Malik Monk hit that shot for the game winner. You look at the Celtics Pacers game, that was a super tight game, very similar to a playoff atmosphere. Lakers Suns about a week ago. I mean, we've seen some phenomenal games from the NBA in-season tournament. I think players are going to be more dug into it, as it kind of progresses from the beginning. I don't think a lot of guys understood like the whole point differential and really were trying as hard the first few games. But I think it's going to be super fun, for the years coming forward. I think Adam Silver did an absolutely great job with it. But ladies and gentlemen, we have a new segment on Oldhead versus Newcomer. The Oldhead always mentions in his answers if he would let players over to his house to eat. Today, we'll be seeing who the Oldhead and Newcomer would let over to their houses to eat dinner. Newcomer, will start with you. Would you let Caleb Williams over to your house to eat?
Um, being probably, yeah, I would say yes for that one. I'm from LA. He was out playing down at USC. I think he's kind of a flashy personality. He'd be interesting to get to know a little bit. Not not too excited about eating with him. Would he be on the top of my list, top 100? No, but would I still kind of chat up with him a little bit, see what's going on, see kind of what his personality is like to kind of evaluate him for an NFL draft prospect list? Sure.
Oldhead.
It's a great question. I mean, don't really know the dude that well, other than he left in the middle of the night at Oklahoma with Lincoln Riley. That's a check off the box. Then he goes to USC and he paints his fingernails with bad language. Check that off the box. Then he wants ownership in teams. He doesn't do interviews, and probably he could be a good dude. That whether or not you're a good person doesn't really ever come into my criteria. It's more of just what's the old school code. And I'm not saying that he doesn't have it, but I'd say no, I wouldn't. Now, does that mean I won't give him a doggy bag with some leftovers? And he waits outside, I throw him some. Yeah, I mean, I'll maybe give him some of the food I cooked, and then he can kind of earn his way back. But as of right now, definitely not. But I'd let him like into the driveway, and he can wait.
All right, next one here, Newcomer for you. Marcus Smart, would you let him come over to your house to eat?
Absolutely, yes. As a Celtics fan, this dude, he got traded by the team, but he gave his heart and soul to the Celtics. He was always a scrappy player, the type of player you never want to play against. I would like to kind of learn more about some of the situations he's been in. I do remember him punching a fan in college. Kind of want to learn more about that. Kind of want to learn more about what Brad Stevens is like in day-to-day life. Just learn about Tatum. Does Tatum have the personality of a 19-year-old? And really kind of see where the gauge is on that, and just talk to him a little bit, talk about John, see if he's still kind of playing around with toys and whatnot. But, yeah, that's my answer.
I mean, no offense, Newey. He may not even want to come and eat at your house. You're gonna break him down on stuff like that. That's kind of weird. You may want to. I mean, I won't take that any further than that. But you got to be careful sometimes, because there might be people you'll let in. They may not come in. They might not even show up. So Marcus Smart, 100%. Celtics guy myself. Really liked a lot of your answer, Newbie, until you kind of wanted to break him down on these high level answers. To me, I'd let him probably sit at the head of the table. I'd let him spray paint our hair green. I'd let him choose what food he wants first. I'd even take his dishes to the sink. Why? Because the dude is just OG. Love that work ethic, love that leadership. He'd shoot out the Memphis team a week or two ago. Yeah, there's a lot of traits in that guy as a human being. And once again, don't know him. But I think, I don't know if this would ever be allowed, but the guy might actually deserve like an honorary ring if they win it, because he was the glue early on with Jaylen Brown. They had Kyrie Irving in there. They had Tatum, all sorts of chaos. Like, Marcus Smart's the man. So yeah, he can come over. Now, am I gonna let him sleep in my bed? No. But he definitely, I don't know about Newbie. He'd probably be like, hey, here, let me change the sheets for you. I'll sleep on the couch. But nonetheless, yes.
Goodness. All right, final one here for you, newcomer. Aaron Rodgers.
Wow. Instead of a dinner, I'd like to go on a darkness trip with him, a darkness retreat to kind of honor, Aaron Rodgers. What a great guy. He's kind of reinvented himself a little bit, but this dude, kind of understanding the psychology of humans and getting to know himself on a deeper level. I think he's a great, great guy. Aaron Rodgers, legendary quarterback. I think Green Bay failed him in a lot of ways. Really unfortunate to see his injury this season, but he is on a crazy, crazy recovery path, potentially one of the fastest recoveries to this injury ever. I expect to see him back next season. I expect to see him play well for a couple more years and see him, continue to play at this elite level.
Oldhead. Aaron Rodgers.
Newbie, you completely, I don't know if you misdiagnosed those questions. I love your analytics. I love your breakdowns, but like, you kind of veered back into like statty mode, like these stats and what he's going to do. Like, it's just simple. Will you have him in to eat? So Aaron
Yes.
Rodgers for me, once again, I got a really funky criteria. He's borderline. But no, I mean, you mentioned darkness retreats. My front patio light will be out. I won't let him in. Doesn't mean that I don't think he's a good dude. He could be a good dude. I just don't think we'd be jiving conversationally. He's got some really unique views. I think, Travis Kelsey mentioned that his Tuesdays now on the McAfee show are a lot like his Sundays because he's been injured, and I didn't think it was like a major shot. But I think Rodgers is probably a good guy. I just think he does love that limelight. I don't think that the Packers um, didn't do anything negative to him. If it was anything, it was the other way around. Every year he wanted, to just. It's kind of like he wanted to go on this. It's like LeBron in a way, like, hey, I might retire, just to get all that hype, and then, no, I'll stay. So no, he's not that he's good or bad dude. He just not my time's too valuable. My cooking skills, it's a lot of hard work to make that food. I don't even, he's not even worth the peanut butter and jelly to me. So, no, wouldn't do it.